How was Elizabeth Banks responsible for transforming the Philadelphia Eagles? You might watch the movie Invincibles to understand that. The 2006 American biographical sports drama film Invincible, which is based on Vince Papale's real life, was directed by Ericson Core. Walt Disney Pictures now hosts an event for sports underdog movies every 2 years. The studio's 2000 release, Remember the Titans, was followed by 2002's The Rookie and 2004's Miracle. The song Invincible carries on the trend. What does the movie deal with? The movie shows us the real-life tale of Vince Papale, portrayed by Mark Wahlberg, a 30-year-old bartender as well as substitute teacher who accepted a contract to play with the failing Philadelphia Eagles in 1976. Vince is soon getting body slammed in a losing game against the Dallas Cowboys and pummeled in summer training due to his lack of experience, unfriendly teammates, and an overabundance of slow-motion photography. As the football supporters wither in the stands and Jackson Browne broods on the soundtrack, Vince's resentful father, Frank, played by Kevin Conway, warns against hope. He cautions, a man can only take so much failure. Disney lavishes praise both on and off the field because they understand the moviegoers feel the same way. Invincible uses meticulous attention to historical detail and hard labor, all to counterbalance its inevitably uplifting direction. The making of the sports drama stays true to its genre by evoking the emotions of the viewers. Do you agree with that? The filmmaker and cinematographer Ericson Core concentrates on the dismal companionship of the local pub and Vince's apartment's damaged wallpaper, while a national energy crisis and the ghost of Vietnam tug at the story's edges. He is aware that Vince's story offers promise for much more than simply a winning game to the struggling working class in Philadelphia, all in the middle of the 1970s. Many emotional sequences of Vermaele's exhausting practice sessions are presented by director Ericson Core. However, the excellent screenplay by Brad Gann, which is based on Vince Papale's actual story, keeps us cheering for the main character as he defies all obstacles to join the Eagles team and subsequently improve their season. All an athlete needs to play with passion is self-esteem. Above all, he needs to be his own most devoted fan. He may pay attention to the masses or worry about statistics, but it's intriguing to watch Vince try to use his wife's bad energy to psych himself out. But in the end, he finds his inner drive and resolves. His performance on the field reflects his self-belief and unique talents. The moral of Invincible is clear for all of us to follow. If you embrace the gifts God has given you, you will never question your work. Despite being the title of this extremely Walt Disney/Hallmark card docudrama, the word Invincible might also be used to describe the countless films that tell the tales of outcasts who rise to prominence in sports. It's worth considering whether the film did Vince's character justice. The life story of Vince Papale, a 30-something unemployed substitute teacher, destitute spouse, and melancholic South Philadelphia resident, is written by Brad Gann. Vince is part of a group of pals who kill time while they wait for jobs by playing football in the muddy vacant lots in their neighborhood. Mark Wahlberg does a great job portraying Vince Papale, a quiet man with severe injuries who succeeds at something at last. In this case, he gets picked by the struggling Philadelphia Eagles football team when the new coach, Dick Vermeil, played by Greg Kinnear, makes a last-ditch effort to liven up the team by holding open tryouts. Vince's father, played by Kevin Conway, and Janet, the relative of the bar owner, both offer encouragement, and Vince's friends persuade him to try. Naturally, the obvious occurs, because else the movie would have never been produced. Vince soars and becomes an Eagle. Not just for himself, but also for his new girlfriend, his father, and his friends. It's hard to find anything wrong with this movie. It is also hard to distinguish it from all the other movies that use the same plot. Wahlberg does well, being cautious not to let his physical appearance show out of concern that people will still mistake him for an underwear model rather than an actor. Also, a great supporting cast has been chosen. These Sports as King movies have a following, and this one has nothing that even young children can't watch. Vince Papale is a 30-year-old bartender and substitute teacher who is struggling financially. His wife abandons him just when he needs her most, leaving a heartbreaking message that declares he will never amount to anything, never become well known, and never earn money. How did Vince come out of his heartbreak in life? Since all of Vince's bar friends are die-hard Philadelphia Eagles supporters, they urge Vince to try out for the team when new head coach Dick Vermeil announces open tryouts. At first, Vince believes they are joking, but even after he discovers that they are not kidding, he finds it difficult to accept the idea. He was not a collegiate football player. Frank Papale, Vince's father, informs him that he has heard what the men in the bar were attempting to get him to do. He should just let that one go. His father advises him since a man can only handle so much failure at once. Vince was inspired to try out by that remark, as well as the note his wife had left him. Having made it through the first round of cuts at training camp, Vince is arguably the most astonished of them all. His effort and speed amaze the instructors. Vince finds himself in an unfamiliar group as the club progresses through training camp and the start of the 6-game preseason. He keeps making it past the next cut, and it appears as though he will make the squad. For many Eagles supporters, as well as family and friends, he has come to represent hope. When Vince tells his father he's scared about disappointing everyone when the inevitable cut comes, his father acknowledges that although he previously warned Vince not to get his hopes up, it didn't mean that he wasn't holding great expectations for Vince. But then Vince is influenced by his new love interest, Janet Cantrell, played by Elizabeth Banks. Does Janet really motivate Vince in the movie? Vince was certain he was getting cut when Coach Vermeil called to ask him to see right before the final cuts were scheduled. Vince's competition was a somewhat better receiver, which made Coach Vermeil want to keep him on the squad, even though he had been having a lot of trouble with it. Coach Vermeil conferred with his spouse, Carol, regarding the matter. Vermeil seemed to be won over by Vince's spirit, as well as intensity, and he was welcomed to the Philadelphia Eagles. As well as finding a new romantic interest, she's Elizabeth Banks' character, Janet Cantrell, the cousin of bar owner Max Cantrell, played by Michael Rispoli. Vince repressed his emotions at first because he was as afraid of upsetting her as he was about upsetting the Eagles. When Janet disclosed that she is a New York Giants fan, the guys at the bar weren't impressed. Eagles supporters have become enraged when Janet appears in a Giants shirt at the team's home opener versus the New York Giants. Vince tears up the note Sharon left him when he returns to the locker room. He alone tackles the kickoff returner within the 15-yard line to start the game. Following by a play-by-play contest, Vince advances downfield to tackle the returner on an Eagles punt play in the fourth quarter. This causes a fumble, which Vince recovers and takes into the end zone for a touchdown, giving the Eagles their first victory of Vince's career. Janet was a key factor in his success. Vince became more laid back and accepts that things will happen as they do, with Janet and the Eagles alike. Both with Janet and on the field, his success increases rapidly. He is the game's hero and is now regarded as a full-fledged squad member. Before retiring, he was chosen as the team's captain. Do you think Disney is planning a sequel to The Invincible in the coming years? Do share your thoughts on that in the comments section below. For more interesting stories and updates, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon for notifications. Goodbye.